Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sober Docs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Theis, board certified pediatrician and recovering alcoholic. Today, we're talking about something that can stir up a lot of anxiety when you're sober: navigating social situations. You know, the weddings, the birthday dinners, the office happy hour, the medical conferences, those events where it feels like every single person has a drink in their hand, and suddenly you're hyper aware that you don't. Sound familiar? For me, it does. I have been there. Let me tell you about the first wedding I attended when I got sober. I remember standing in front of my closet, stressing more about what I was going to say when someone tried to offer me a drink rather than what I was going to wear, which is surprising. I even stood in front of my mirror and I kept rehearsing the lines in my head. Oh, I'm not drinking tonight, or, huh, I'm just pacing myself, or even, I'm not feeling well. It felt like I was going into battle. I was gearing up to have some sort of conflict. And you know what happened? They handed me a glass. I smiled and I said, no, thank you. And you know what they said back? Okay, that's it. That was the whole drama. The thing I'd been spinning in my head for days and days, over and over, was done in 3 seconds. Does that sound familiar? How many times have we built up this huge story in our head about how awkward something's going to be or how messy it might happen, only to find out that nobody actually cares? Recently, I attended a medical conference and I was armed with this confidence that I again was going to say, no, thank you, and all would be okay. There were already people at this conference that I had confided to about my sobriety, so I wasn't worried that I was going to feel pressure this time. But the servers continued to ask me over and over, red or white. And I started to feel a little people pleasing tendency start to creep back in. I thought to myself, maybe if I allow them to just fill my glass, they'll leave me alone and they'll stop asking. But I didn't trust myself to have that wine on the table. So, you know what I did? I asked the server to remove the glasses. No glasses on the table means no offer to fill them. And that was that. So simple. So, in order to help you navigate some of these social events, I came up with a list of tips that are tried and true, things that I have found myself leaning on to help navigate these social events. Tip number one: have a simple response ready. Here's the thing: you don't owe anyone a TED talk about why you're not drinking. A simple, no thanks, I'm good, works. Most times I'll just say, sparkling water sounds great, thanks. Remember, no is a full sentence. You don't need to have an explanation. And quite frankly, no one is entitled to one. So let me ask you, have you ever noticed how quickly a conversation shifts when you don't make something a big deal? Because here's the truth: most people are too wrapped up in themselves to worry about what's going on in your glass. And if they are worried about it, it sounds like it's a them thing, not a you thing. Tip number two: keep something in your hands. This one changed the game for me. There's something about holding a drink, any drink, that makes me feel less conspicuous. I remember my very first social outing in sobriety. I was going to a dinner where a friend of mine would be giving a talk on burnout in medicine. I was so excited to go. It would be a room full of women physicians. I had a cute dress on, unfortunately, one without pockets. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what to do with my hands. Crossing my arms felt kind of like I was closing myself off. Putting them on my hips made me feel like I had a superiority complex. And dangling them at my sides left me feeling insecure. So eventually, I just grabbed a water glass off of the table. Ta-da! No more awkward posing or fidgeting. Or what do I do with these hands? So ask yourself, what's your go-to sober drink? Find one you like and let that glass be your little shield. Tip number three: shift the focus to connection. This one's powerful. When I stopped drinking, I realized how much I used alcohol as a social crutch. Small talk felt easier with a glass of wine in my hand. I could spark up conversation just by asking people which wine they were drinking or how they like their margarita. But when I started focusing on people instead of their glass, something shifted. Now I ask questions like, what's the best trip you've ever taken? Or what's lighting you up these days? Or what's something you're most looking forward to right now in your life? Suddenly, all these conversations had depth. So let me ask you, would you rather remember the taste of your third cocktail, or maybe not remember the taste, or the story someone just told you about what made you laugh until you were crying? Tip number 4, reframe the fun factor. I know the fear. You're thinking, but what if I'm boring without alcohol? I thought that too. I mean, I was always the life of the party. I was the quote fun drinker. I am a natural extrovert, center of attention. I was so fearful that not drinking would mean that I had to lose this sense of adventure, would mean that I had to retreat and not be the person who got out there and had the fun. Then I went to a gala, completely sober, and I actually ended up being the last person on the dance floor. The difference this time? I remembered every single song, every laugh, every conversation, and the next morning, I woke up without that crushing shame spiral and without the hangover. So tell me, what's more fun? 2 hours of blurry memories followed by regret, or 5 hours of real connection and a clear head in the morning? I know what I'm picking. Tip 5, have a sober buddy. Bring a friend along, or maybe find someone at the event that isn't drinking. Don't be afraid to drag along a wing woman. There is power in numbers, and it's a good feeling to know that you're not alone. Tip number 6, have an exit plan. This is a lifesaver. If the vibe isn't right, you don't have to stay. I used to think leaving early meant that I was missing out or a party pooper, but now I see it as honoring myself. I've left events an hour early. I've left events after only an hour. And I've left events where the event is over, but there's a group of people wanting to go out afterwards. I go home, I put on my pajamas, and I think to myself, that was the right call. Because honestly, when was the last time staying up till 2 a.m. truly added something meaningful to your life? I mean, there's a joke that says there's nothing ever good that happens after midnight. And for me, that's true. Typically, the later the evening goes, it is likely people who have already been drinking just wanting to continue drinking. And there's nothing in that for me. So I no longer feel guilty when I'm ready to go. Tip number 7, remember, practice makes it easier. The first few times, awkward. There's no way around it. But like any muscle, the more you flex it, the stronger it gets. I promise you, what feels terrifying today will feel normal in 6 months from now. And one day you'll walk into a room, order your sparkling water, and not even think twice about it. So here's your game plan for the next social event. Keep your response short and sweet. No is a complete sentence. Hold a drink in your hand. Maybe even add a fancy umbrella. It's going to help the awkwardness. Focus on connection, not consumption. Redefine what fun actually means and give yourself permission to leave whenever you want. Because at the end of the day, sobriety isn't about restriction. It's about freedom. Freedom to show up as your full, authentic self. Freedom to engage in real connection. And the freedom to leave knowing you have honored your values. So, if you're heading into a social event soon, I want you to ask yourself, what's the story I want to remember tomorrow morning? Play the tape forward. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who might need some encouragement. And remember, you're not alone. You are building a life you don't need to escape from. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Sober Docs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Callie Theis, and we'll see you next time.